privilege to welcome you all in the New North London Synagogue, for which I've been working for 40 odd years. A short welcome from myself, and then from Bishop Nicholas, and then I'll hand over to Rabbi Alon. For some years now, as part of the synagogue, we've been involved in eco-Judaism. But what I want to stress is how we learned that from Eco-Church. And Eco-Church has worked with Eco-Sikh and Eco-Mosque, and we've been in touch with faiths from India. And so it's not just togetherness with all life on our planet, it's togetherness with each other, which has been so deeply moving and so motivating. And seeing one of the purposes of being on Parliament Hill was to tell truths of faith towards the centres of power. Our togetherness gives us a collective voice, which is much stronger. I just want to say one teaching from Jewish tradition, which I love in connection with repentance and translate into the context of our climate. It's said by Reish Lakish, who was a 3rd century sage, who walked the walk, because at one point in his life he was either a gladiator or a swordsman for the Romans, and became a peaceful scholar. And he said, great is repentance because it can make our deliberate sins turn into inadvertent sins. And I've often thought about that. And sometimes we do things, I meant to do that. But when we learn the consequences, we think, had I known the consequences, I would never have done it. And in some respects, our treatment of the earth. We've done things we can't say we didn't know. But when we see the consequences, it has the power to change them and transform them. But then the Talmud, as it often does, says, wait a minute, is that true? Didn't he also say, great is repentance, because it can turn the deliberate wrongs we do into good deeds? This has puzzled me more. How can our deliberate wrongs become good deeds? And the way I've tried to understand it to myself is, sometimes the shame or remorse I feel when I know I've done something wrong is my most effective teacher, because it sits in the conscience and drives me. And then the Talmud says, wait a minute, these two things are different. How can he have said them both? And it concludes, one is from fear and the other from love. From fear, our deliberate wrongs can become inadvertent wrongs. But fear doesn't have the power to turn them into goodness. Love has that power. And when I think about the world around me, I'm a keen gardener. I see the yellowing leaves. I saw, even in London, dead blackbirds from the heat. I am afraid. And that's in a relatively unaffected corner of the globe. Yes. But I also love. I have, since childhood, loved the beauty of the natural world, felt a kinship with it. And what I hope our ceremony of repentance might do is enable us to turn both the fear and, above all, the love into profound motivation for doing what is right and what is good. Now, somebody who has motivated me in this direction is yourself, Bishop Nicholas. We've talked together, walked together, worked together. You've been deeply involved in what the Church of England has done, and I particularly wanted you to have the chance to say some words of welcome. Thank you.
Jonathan, thank you very much. And it's very good to be back here in the synagogue with you. We can sleepwalk into climate catastrophe, but we can no longer say that we don't know that the way we're living is taking us in a direction which is bad for everyone and for the creation. As I think a lot of Christians have been struck by something an American environmentalist called Gus Speth said, which is that he used to think that the top environmental problems were ecosystem collapse, biodiversity loss and climate change, and that 30 years of science could sort that. But he was wrong. The top environmental problems are greed, apathy and selfishness. And scientists don't know how to do that. But that's why faith is such an important resource in addressing the issues of the climate and the environment. And Jonathan asked if I'd say something about what the Church of England has been doing. And he started with Synagogue. And that was something that actually was born at a meeting in Amadown that we were both at, where we were talking about eco-church, and you spotted, and somebody from Palmer's Green Mosque spotted, that this could be developed in other faith traditions as well. And eco-church, I think, have been really good at working with the other faith communities on that. And it's a way of each community being able to engage with environmental issues and developing a spirituality and resourcing teaching and getting communities thinking about both what it is for them as individuals and a worshipping community, but also how that has an impact on the community around through schools and community groups, and that having sort of quite a big impact. Churches often have churchyards for burials attached, and put all of those together and you've got a space the size of a largish national park in this country. And by the way you use that space, both in urban and suburban and rural contexts, you can do something to diversify the environment. It's been a very productive and interesting movement. The Church of England's also been, and Archbishop Rowan really should talk about this, has been very good at how to use investments. We've got quite a lot of capital held centrally and dispersed. And thinking about how that can be used in a way that's responsible in relation to the environment and the climate is important. And we took a decision to divest from the most polluting of fossil fuels, to engage with fossil fuel companies on how to join the road that was agreed at the Paris COP, and then to invest in renewables and to try to put some money into what will be a sustainable future. And that's been, I think, an impressive piece of work, which of course is it's a developing piece of work as we engage more sharply with the fossil fuel companies and begin a process of greater divestment. But that's got to be in a step transition, because, I mean, the difficult thing is, how do we do this together? And I'm a great admirer of Extinction Rebellion, but I don't think that's my way, really. They've changed the dialogue, they've changed the discussion, they've changed the debate in a way which has been really helpful. So, but how do we manage to do this in a way that we don't fall out over tactics? We're actually agreed about the direction of travel. And I think there's quite a strong agreement about the pace at which we need to go. But how are we going to achieve it? Because from my perspective, we're still going to be using fossil fuels for some time to come. And our life is very dependent on that. But we need to get ourselves to a point where we've got to net zero. And how do we make that journey in a way that's progressive and as fast as possible, and that we can work together on from our different perspectives? And I do think that's a really difficult thing to do, which faith communities have something to offer, because we're used to dealing with diversity within our own communities and with each other, and still travel together. So I'm grateful for this occasion. Rabbi Alam, thank you very much indeed for bringing us together. Jonathan, thank you for hosting us. And Rowan, thank you for being the patron of the group and causing us to be in this occasion together so that we can work together on this. What the Pope said, it's our common home. Actually, our ecumenism, our ecology and our economy are all aspects of what it is to live in this one house. Thank you.